Hey, Darren Martin from the Global Company Culture Association. I am sitting here with the famous, the restaurateur, the empire building, Nikky Phinyawatana.
Yes.
Was that right?
You did it.
Okay, if all people who ought to be able to do that, it should be
you.
me. Sawadee krap, sawadee mai,
Sawadee
choti ma
krap.
krap, kapkuma kuntam. This show, whatever that is
Thank
in Thai.
you.
So, a lot of you know, or some of you know, that I grew up in Thailand. Nikki is
From Thailand.
from Thailand. You were born there.
I actually was born here.
Okay.
And my parents moved over when I was about 1, but technically, so I would say English is actually my second language. Thai is my first, because that's what I grew up with, that culture and the language and
Do you read
everything.
and write?
I do.
Okay,
I went
so-
to a full Thai school.
I was going to bring you, the only foreign publication I've had in another language is Thai. My book
Yes.
Whiteboard was published by Amarin Publishing
so
in Thai.
cool.
I meant to bring you that, and I
I
thought,
need
wait,
it.
for some reason I thought you didn't read Thai, that we had talked
I
about
read.
that. Okay, so.
Read, right. I have your English versions.
Yeah, I got to get you the Thai version. So, Nikki, geez, I don't even know how we met. I do know how we met.
I know too.
I've been eating at your restaurants for a long time, been a big fan. And I'm going to digress a little bit.
Sounds
but when
good.
I first, I do think it's funny, by the way, that at 1, you were going from Thailand to the U.S.
Yes.
And at 3.5, I was going from the U.S. to Thailand.
Yes. I think that's so cool, though.
Let's just say I'm older than you, not at the
No,
same
not
time
too bad.
frame. So, but when I first got to America, came back, going to college, there was no Thai food anywhere, and not any
True.
good Thai food. This was like in 1980, right?
True.
And people didn't know what Thai food was. There was some Chinese food, but it
Yes.
wasn't good. And I remember one day I see on a sitcom they said, "Let's go get some Thai food," and I thought, "Yes."
Same reaction, totally. I'm like, oh my God, finally.
Finally, it's happening. So how people ask me this, and I can't even guesstimate, but how many Thai restaurants do you think, let's say the DFW
Oh my
area, how many,
goodness.
I would say 150?
It's a lot. It's a
Upwards,
lot.
so there's a lot. And of course
Yes.
you got all sorts of different, no pun intended, but flavors, etc.
Absolutely.
So you go back and forth from Thailand.
Yes.
You have a show
I
that you
do.
run. How many Mint locations do you have?
We have 4 restaurants at the moment, been around for 15 years, very proud, and have been named top best Thai restaurant in the neighborhood in Dallas-Fort Worth. So we're very excited.
Very cool. So what do you think is unique, particularly about the food? We're going to get into all the culture and that
Sounds
stuff,
good.
but let's talk about the good stuff right
Yeah,
now, which
yeah,
is
right?
the Thai food. So what do you think is unique about your version of the food?
We do modern Bangkok style food. So I'm from Bangkok, and one of the main reasons I like to talk about is different Thai restaurants have different flavor profiles because either the owner or the chef are from different regions of Thailand. So as you know, if you go to the southern part of Thailand, it is going to be more spice, different kind of spice, spicier, more seafood heavy.
Right.
If you go up north, it's less spice, more pork, a lot of different flavor profiles that are completely different than even from the northeastern part or Bangkok. And that's what people like to compare. Why is your pad thai not the same as this other restaurant's pad thai?
Right.
It's who's making it, whose grandma's recipe is it from, and what region of the country in Thailand are they from?
Okay, so you talk about pad thai. I don't remember. I don't think my entire time growing up in Bangkok I ever had this dish called pad
Pad
thai.
thai.
It turns out in the U.S. it is the most
It
popular.
is.
I mean, that's what everybody wants.
Yes.
And quite frankly, with the pad kimao and the pad
Yes.
wun sin and the
Yes.
pad siu and all of those,
Yes, all the goodies.
it's probably my least favorite. But for some reason, it's a huge hit with Americans.
It is. It is one of those comfort dishes that lend itself very well to the American palate. The flavor profile, it is tamarind based. It has that sweet, sour note to it. The peanuts is very familiar. You know, the American palate has grown up on peanut butter and jelly. I
Right.
never associated those two before, and I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
why
smart.
is it that
Yeah.
they love this dish so much? It's because of all the different ingredients that are in it, and then the noodles. You know, it just makes them think of spaghetti, the color, everything, and I think that's why it's become the most famous comforting Thai dish.
And it's
here.
it's good. Don't get me wrong, but I forgot about bami and kuitio and all
Oh.
those main staples
yes.
that for a long time You could not get bami in the States that wasn't just like ramen that they
Very
had,
true.
you know, it wasn't like they make it over
I
there where
know,
it's fresh
the
made
fresh
every
banh
day.
mi with the crab or like the red
It,
pork.
it
Oh
used
my
to be mudang. It used to be
Mudang.
five baht for a bowl of bami mudang
It's like
at my favorite little.
40 now.
Yeah, which is still what, a buck?
$1 or
Yeah.
so.
So, okay, I love what you've done with the restaurants because they're really fresh. They're very contemporary. You know, my favorite is probably the fanciest of the ones. It's the one on Preston, and you're gonna tell me that one's closed. Why do
Oaklawn?
you have that look? Yeah, Preston Oaklawn.
Oaklawn.
That one just has it has kind of like a nice date feel to
It
it,
sure
and
does.
low lighting.
Yes.
But you've got everything from that to I think the Forest is more of a kind of come in
Casual
lunch,
neighborhoody.
casual
Yes.
neighborhoody. So you've really done it up. Just
Based on the neighborhood.
I love
Basically kind of how we, it's like one of the creative part of the restaurant that I get to be because, you know, I keep the menu the same, the logo, everything, the branding is all the same, but the one thing that I get to do is kind of mold the restaurant so it matches the neighborhood, the feel, and kind of have a little bit fun of all these different materials I get to play with.
that. Okay, so I love that because then I want to shift to talk about the culture part.
Yes.
But that's a part of it, right? When you
Yes.
come in with the cookie cutter, hey, I don't care what the neighborhood is, what they like. We're just gonna. This is our format. It's very different from just paying attention to where you are and kind of making those adjustments. So I've envisioned doing a lot of things, owning a lot of different businesses. But to me, it seems like the restaurant business is one of the absolute toughest because there's a lot of overhead associated with it. You've got food, you've got food loss, you've got, just the manpower, all of that. So I think it's a challenge. And I've seen restaurants in Dallas come and go, come and go,
Yes.
come and go.
Yes.
I read somewhere there are 800 restaurants starting in Manhattan every year, maybe bigger than that.
I
and
believe you.
within 5 years, 80% of them are
Yeah.
gone, right?
I think
It's-
that's like a 3% success rate from what I've heard back in the
That is
day, which is crazy.
crazy.
I know. I don't know why we do
So,
it.
so what do you attribute your success to? And talk a little bit about a very high turnover. Do you struggle with that? What have you done internally, just in terms of with the culture of the restaurants?
Okay. Well, I have to say, based on what we have going on here, and when you come in, you'll realize that my turnover rate is probably one of the lowest out of the restaurant businesses. We do take care of our staff, our employees, or we actually call them our mentees.
I love it. I love
We do have
it.
names.
Mentees.
Mentees are kind of all of our staff are mentees. Our bartenders, we call them mentologists.
Mentologists.
Really fun.
By the way, I've got a new one for you.
Already.
Will, Mr. Pun over there, our creative director, when I said something about, well, maybe we should put a menu on the table, and he said, a mint you?
Menu.
Mint you, right?
I'm on it.
Because
That's
that's
a
what
good
you're
one.
doing. We're going to mint
We do.
you. I
We
love
are
it.
going to mint you.
Okay, so you take good care of your
Yes,
people.
very much. And we treat them like family.
Okay.
And we listen to them. There's kind of like almost no barrier between level of management. We're still I like to still call ourselves a very mom and pop way that we operate our restaurant, even though we have grown over the past 15 years. Everything, we kind of keep it the same. We do evolve based on the people that come into the restaurant, the staffing, it changes after you've been running it for a couple of years. And we shift with that. We don't stay in like our realm of like, okay, here are the rules, here's how we're going to do things. It doesn't really work that way.
Right.
And sometimes when I have staff who've been with us for a long time, I'm like, Nikki, you used to be like all about not, you can't do this, do that. But I'm like, it's a new time, it's a new generation. You have to kind of really work with the people that come in.
Yep.
And that's one of the things, you have to be ever changing. You can't be just set in your rules. And that's what I realized, because I love it when I have the new generation or young generation that comes in, because they teach me so much
Right.
about life in a different perspective. They grew up in a different era,
Right.
and it's ever changing now with the technology and everything that's going on. So I have to adapt. If I don't adapt, then I'll have nobody to want to come and work with me, because we would be so old school.
I think you nailed it, and I think this is a part of the bigger thing. The whole reason we started the association was, 85% of people around the world hate their job. I mean, we're living in a time where everything else has changed about life.
Yes.
Work has not changed, and there's
my
that
goodness.
mentality of punching the clock and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And you're spot on that if you really want to survive. By the way, I think there's a lot about this current generation that is right. They're saying we don't just want to work,
Yes.
180 hours.
Yes.
We want to have a life. We want to have some meaning at work.
Yes.
We want to do something we're excited about. And I think tapping into that really creates a dynamic, workforce. So
I love that.
for business owners, you've got 4 restaurants.
Yes.
And so basically you have cloned yourself. And you're able to be at all 4 restaurants at the same time on the same night, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All the time.
Okay. So that, I think, is one of the biggest challenges. If you get particularly an owner who's maybe a little micromanagey or, which, by the
Not
way, I think
anymore.
and I think there's a gap between attention to detail because it is your brand.
Yes.
But how did you make that going from store 1 to store 2 and then 3 and then 4? Because clearly you can't manage all of them.
True.
Right? So how have you done that successfully?
I would have to say it's just been trial and error. I've never really worked in a true corporate environment. I had like one job that was in a corporate company, and everything I've kind of built on my own, and I kind of do it by learning as I do it. And I realized that I think once I kind of was realizing, okay, I'm ready to start a family, for example, how am I going to put a restaurant together where I know myself I need to become a mother and split my time between the restaurant and being a mother? How do I do that? So when I was opening my second location, I had a goal. I said, I need to open a restaurant that's going to be better, and also a restaurant where I don't have to be there. And then I realized, I need to put more systems in place, let people know what are my expectations, train somebody, clone somebody, like you said. And literally I worked with the manager who's going to run the store day in, day out throughout my entire pregnancy, just to make sure that, she has everything she needs, and that she's confident enough to run it in the way that she knows that I'm going to be proud of.
She went to Nikky school.
I guess so.
You gotta
We need
you
to
gotta
start a
show
mint school.
people. Yeah, mint
An
school.
Asian
I love
mint
it.
school.
Asian mint. So, but explaining not just in this situation you do this, but why I do that. It's not enough to just say, well, if this ever happens, here's how you respond. But to say, hey, if this happens, I think a great approach is to say, what would you do and why? And then let's talk about it. And here's what I would tend to do and why. And let's process through that so that they're learning kind of like, oh, yeah, I hadn't
It's
thought.
an on-the-job learning.
Sure.
And it's so funny because you mentioned that we just had our manager meeting or mentor meeting, and we were going over service recovery. And as much as you want to say, if this happens, are the things that you do, you can't, because it is more of a soul-feeding relationship. It's
Right.
completely different.
Right.
I can't say, okay, here's the issue, here's how we're going to solve it. No, how can I make you the happiest person in the world, because I'm here to feed your soul, not just your stomach.
I love it. And so I think mantras like that, philosophies, processes, systems, when you're saying, if a customer is unhappy, always do XYZ, is different from, hey, do whatever it takes to make a customer happy. Okay. If we've got a problem, we fix it and fix it not only to solve the problem, but also to keep a repeat customer. Or so, when you have
Yes,
those
it's a
kind of
relationship.
guiding principles, then I know what I'm supposed to do. Here's my outcome. What do I do to take care of this person? How do I
Absolutely.
feed this person's soul?
Yes.
So that gets into you actually have is it a nonprofit? You've got a thing.
We have a few that I'm involved with, so I'm really big on education, and I'm a part of a couple of associations, the Texas Restaurant Association Education Foundation.
Wait, we met at the Texas Restaurant
We did.
Association. You remember that?
Yes, we did.
I was speaking there, and did you come to my class, or I just met you in the
I
hallway?
went to your workshop. I think
And
you had.
I
It's
remember you
amazing.
came up to me
Amazing.
afterwards, and you said, I think that hour I just spent listening to you was the single most important thing that's ever happened in my entire life.
For real.
It has changed the trajectory. I'm just kidding. It wasn't.
No, I have to say, because you were speaking from like a point of view that makes sense, because I come from a point of view that I guess it's non-traditional. I
Right.
don't come from a corporate culture, and
Right.
what you were teaching is like take care of the people and everything else will kind of take care of itself.
Right. Yeah, because corporate culture is dead. I mean, there's a reason that, we have such a low engagement rate, et cetera, that old way. But don't get me on my soapbox. So you do classes, you do more than just the restaurant.
We do now, yes. So we have evolved as always, and I think it kind of went through a few of soul searching exercises that I did on myself as I have been running the restaurant. And I was like, okay, you know what? I love this. I love feeding souls. I love it. How else can I feed people's soul? What inspires me that gets them inspired enough to go live a better life or enjoy their time and be happy? And not too long ago, I would say maybe a year or two ago, I came up with my own personal mission, is to inspire people through food, culture, and travel with my Nikky Feeding Soul brand. And with that, I'm like, how is it? How do I feed my soul? Because one of the main things that I realized that people who come into our restaurant are amazing, and they come in because either they need to be fueled, and most of the time is that they need to be fed in their soul. And a lot of times I would be at the bar or walking around the restaurant, and I would have a personal connection, and we would talk, and then they would talk about their day, and I would kind of like, okay, so what are you thinking about it? Why? And I dig deep enough that they're like, you know what? You're really inspiring. Or I have people come into the restaurant like, I love coming here. You inspire me. You've been doing this for so long, and I love it. I bring my whole family. And all of that just kind of morphed into this, how is it? How else can I feed other people's soul other than just through our food, which is my favorite part. But now we do travel. We do tours to Thailand. We now do foodie tours starting in Thailand. Working on a cookbook. I am doing cooking classes, which is actually one of my favorite things. We do monthly cooking classes.
Let me know when you're doing the Plowrod Prick cooking class.
Okay.
It's one of my favorites.
That, so I
tried doing it at home one time, and it just was like a disaster.
Oh, I keep it simple.
Yeah.
Because,
okay. So Americans have a very interesting relationship with food. Okay, food is such an essential part of our lives. I loved when that whole trend of food movies was coming out.
Yes.
I think like Water for Chocolate was maybe one of the first ones, and then there was Eat, Drink, Man, Woman.
Yes.
There was all these things where the food was part of the experience.
Totally.
I love the big night where they're running the Italian, they're running the restaurant, and
yeah,
such a
that was
great.
a good
They
one.
build that timpania or whatever it is at the end. So. Unfortunately, in this country, food has become about, right, and get back to work or go do something else.
Yes.
I don't think that's true for everybody, but I think for the majority, a lot of the population, let's just say.
It's going that direction for sure.
We're starting to shift
Yes.
into more of a foodie culture.
True.
We're getting away from so many chains to more stuff like, and I don't consider Mint a chain, obviously, but stuff that is more unique and organic and not just, repeat, rinse and repeat, right? And I do think it's a very important part of, who we are. There's the old Zen thing: when I walk, I walk; when I sleep, I sleep; when I eat, I eat. And to really make, I don't know why I'm getting off on the Zen thing and the Buddhist
Food
thing,
meditation.
but Thich Nhat Hanh was really big on food as meditation.
Yes.
And they wouldn't speak; they would chew their food in a certain way and give this, And so I love to see us evolving into more of a culture where we really appreciate food for what it is, and really have it as more of a soul feeding thing, because it is. So instead of comfort food, it's there's a big difference between, I'm going to solve all my problems with this and just down a bag of potato chips versus I'm going to eat and enjoy my food in a way that reminds me of just sustenance and life and all of that. So, okay. You take trips to Thailand.
Yes.
First of all, you're fantastic at on the promotion side. You post a lot of videos. There's a ton of stuff with you that people can find online. We'll tell them where in just a minute. But favorite you may not be able to do this, but favorite high-end Thai place in Bangkok?
Wow.
Thai restaurant.
I would have to say Roy Mahasat. It's one of the up-and-coming newer restaurants by a good friend of mine, Charlie Cater, and he is at the forefront of doing really forming the beef culture in Thailand, because beef is not a big protein that we
Pork. Big.
Pork,
right?
chicken, seafood,
fish,
shrimp, yes.
Seafood, shrimp, yeah.
So beef has always not been a star protein there. And
Interesting. I never thought about that, but we didn't eat
because
a
we
lot
live
of
in
beef.
Texas.
Yeah.
So every Thai person who comes to Texas and see me, they want to go to a steakhouse and they only want to eat his beef because it's better here. And he wants to change that. So he is actually working with, I say beef growers, no, people who are, taking care of the cows and all the different kinds and really working really hard and just solidifying a good product for Thailand, because he is just cool like that. I mean, even the food culture and the food evolution in Thailand with now the Michelin boards there,
which just happened last couple of years.
And
there are
changed.
Michelin star noodle shops.
Absolutely.
Right? There's one that we went to that we couldn't get in because one of the she's not a queen, but one of the wives of the king.
Yes. Was there. Aww.
Pulled up with the whole entourage. They came, swooped in, and it's crazy expensive for Thailand because their famous crab dish. It was like 1,000 baht.
Yes.
You know the one I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's over by Khao San Road.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we ate at the other place. It's got the kind of famous pad thai that they do in a big egg thing.
I love that pad thai place. It's one of my favorites.
And I was just ragging on pad thai because it's not one of my favorites. But the pad thai, I like that one. My favorite pad thai is in Chinatown, a noodle cart that has been there for 14 years. If you haven't had this pad thai,
I wonder if it's on my video.
It is. It's been named like one of the best, but I don't think they had the whole Michelin exposure. No. But I mean, it's been like on CBS. I'm telling you, it's mouth-watering. Okay. So the great thing about Thailand and food is you got street food, which you could just eat that and nothing else and be fine. And then you've got gourmet, and then you've got really just phenomenal. It's like going to New Orleans.
Yeah.
It's hard to get bad food in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get bad food in Thailand.
You gotta pick your places and safe ones too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have either my stomach's getting stronger or that's getting better because I don't.
It is getting better. We have really come around. Like even from my last trip, we went to eat from Phuket to Chiang Mai to Bangkok, and nobody got sick. We were all just like, wow. Even I going back to all these different restaurants was like, okay, they have elevated. They put systems in place.
Yes.
They have put systems in place.
They're really making big strides.
Yes.
Did you go to the high-end restaurant in Phuket that's right on the water?
At Nikky Phinyawatana, I think you're talking about. I did not go there.
Okay, I think it was
really cool.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, how long have we been trying to get this together? I told you.
I don't know.
I think it's been like 6 years, even before we started the association.
No.
So, but when we started this Real Talk series, I knew we had to do one with you. And
so awesome. Thank you.
So, how do people get in touch with you?
Instagram and Facebook. I am on there a lot, posting a lot of stories about what we're doing and what we're serving, how we're feeding souls most of the time, how I get to feed souls through Nikky Feeding Souls. So at Instagram, it's Nikky Feeding Souls. On Facebook, it's Nikky Feeding Souls. I keep it really simple, really clean, and you should come and hang out with me there. If not at the restaurants.
And if you're in Dallas, you got to check. You got multiple locations to make it easy for people, and then you've got a bigger vision. You really, at some point, want to see this thing really expand. And so maybe we can talk about that on a future, what your plans are.
What has been really interesting for me is that I have staff who's been with me throughout my entire restaurant career, if not 5, 10, 15 years. And at this stage, at the beginning when I want to open another restaurant and do this, they're like, why are you doing this? Too much work, this is too hard. But after this fourth one that we did, they literally came up to me there and they said, okay, Nikki, I'm going to be ready to open the next one in 3 months and you need to put it here, here, and here. And I'm like, awesome. They are driving the ship.
Great. That's
they
great.
are enthralled in the culture. They love feeding people. They now have the systems in place that they are comfortable in running and recreating. And I'm like, kudos to you. Every time that I open a restaurant, it's either because I have a manager who wants to grow, I have some more people who want us to be in a certain area, and it's always has been driven by the need or by somebody else who says, hey, I need you here, and I have a manager who wants to grow. Like, I don't want to lose them.
That's a fantastic model, and I love that. I love that you want to keep your manager so much you go open a restaurant and let
you
them
want to
go.
open a store?
Yeah, and that's a great business, I always say, is one that's scalable and replicable. Mm-hmm. So if you can take that model and replicate it and scale it, then you've got a finely tuned machine. So
my favorite part is when I get to see them grow. Because, you hire them, they might start off as a dishwasher or a busser, but now they are a manager or they are the head chef. And I'm going to cry if I start talking. I love them so much, and to be able to get to see them grow, and they're so excited.
You're changing people's lives.
Yes.
And you're doing exactly what I talk about, a company of owners. I did the video where I talked about Richard Montanez, who was the janitor and came up with the whole Flaming Hot Cheetos, became an executive vice president with Pepsi-Cola. That is the great American dream. Mm-hmm. There's no reason that can't be happening in every company where they spot talent and then they develop it and teach and train, and eventually that person's off running their own thing or running a division. So, okay, real quick, do a shout out in Thai to all of our Puns in Thailand, all of our friends.
Absolutely. So สวัสดีค่ะทุกคนนี่อยู่กับ Darren Martin นะคะอยู่ที่ Dallas Texas with the Global Culture Association กรุณาไปดู YouTube ของเขาเป็นคนที่สนุกมากแล้วก็แชร์การที่จะ run business ในทางที่ถูกต้องและดีสำหรับทุกคนและทำให้ทุกคนเจริญก้าวหน้าค่ะ
Love it. Thank you, Nikki. Awesome being on you. Thank you. ขอบคุณมากครับ